Around the world, countries are working to accelerate sustainable economic growth and investments while reducing greenhouse gas emissions and building climate resilience. These Low Emission Development Strategies, or LEDS, enable nations to address various climate change challenges while continuing to grow their economies. The U.S. Agency for International Development, through its Analysis and Investment for Low Emission Growth project, or AILEG, is building capacity in these countries to carry out this work. As LEDS take shape around the world, AILEG was invited by countries and USAID missions to fill data gaps and apply analytical methodologies while training key players how to do both. Since 2011, AILEG has worked in Colombia, Guatemala, Jamaica, Kazakhstan, Mexico, the Philippines, and Vietnam. Here's a closer look at AILEG's work in 4 of these countries. Colombia. Colombia must balance economic growth and energy demand with the sustainability of its fragile ecosystems. AILEG worked with its local and national government on 3 pressing issues. Colombia relies on hydropower for 70% of its energy, but climate change and land use threaten the main source, the Upper Magdalena watershed. Further north, gold mining could boost the nation's economy, but at what cost? How would revenue gained compare to the current value of the unique ecosystem, the Páramo de Santurbán? Lastly, Colombia is assessing cost and benefits of several policy decisions and climate change actions, yet it lacks information on the impact of energy efficiency on the commercial building sector. In Colombia, AILEG activities included hydrological modeling of the Upper Magdalena watershed, economic valuation of the Páramo ecosystem, marginal abatement cost curve, MAC, analysis of the commercial building sector.
Colombia has a lot of capacity, but one of the big challenges in Colombia is taking these vast amounts of data from the climate change database and making it usable for people on the ground to make decisions. An example regarding low emissions development and AILEG involves the Santurbán Páramo. AILEG helps us understand the value of the water coming out of the Páramo, and that enables policymakers to decide if they want to develop mining in the same Páramo. AILEG's data contributions to Colombia have helped us start a process that will continue with bringing people to the process of watershed planning, climate change adaptation, and low emissions development. AILEG's impact in Colombia is something that could be shared in other parts of the world because we have a common frame of reference. If we're using economic data that values ecosystem services, that ascribes value to low emissions development, then we have a common frame of reference.
Jamaica. Frequent storms and power outages threaten Jamaica's vulnerable grid and access to energy for its population, 80% of whom live in coastal areas. Meanwhile, sky-high electricity costs discourage investment opportunities. It all adds up to serious economic limitations, particularly for the crucial pillars of tourism and agriculture. USAID supports the plan of Jamaica's government to reduce energy costs and increase reliability through efficiency and diversification of power sources.
Here in Jamaica, they were doing 4 key activities. One was working on an assessment of climate finance flows to set the groundwork for thinking about how finance should be considered as part of a low emission development strategy. The second area that they were working on in Jamaica was looking at economic modeling, the data and models that are currently used, and doing an assessment to figure out what a baseline for thinking about modeling is. The third activity was to support in the development of an energy action plan as part of the government's strategic planning process. And the fourth area was to work with 2 communities on the development of community-level energy efficiency and renewable energy action plans.
I think AILEG has assisted in building capacity, or even before building capacity, creating the awareness that this is necessary. So often we do plans without really putting our role in reducing emissions into the equation. And yes, we can grow our economy, but we have to be cognizant of our emissions.
The plan is what you're here to talk about, right? It is the plan that you want to know what is the next plan.
One of the things we try to do from energy policy is to allow for wide-scale participation. We believe the government must be involved, we believe the private sector must be involved, we believe academic institutions must be involved, we believe the non-government organizations must be involved, we believe communities must be involved, we believe the individual households must be involved.
It's a work in progress, and so this is just the start. And so I'm really excited to see where this takes us, and if it takes us to where I think we hope to get, then I think Jamaica will be on a path towards low emission growth.
Philippines. The Philippines is a newly industrialized nation and is growing rapidly, but high energy costs and shortages are handicapping its economic opportunities and investment possibilities. The nation relies heavily on fossil fuels, which contributes to local and worldwide pollution, yet many rural areas lack access to energy. Meanwhile, its forests are being damaged to feed the country's agricultural and energy demands. USAID supports the goals of the government of the Philippines to integrate renewable energy sources into economic planning, promote efficient energy use, develop rural energy sources, and attract international funding to preserve forests.
The Philippines has led the way in legislation. We're going to sign a memorandum that is really a signal of intent to continue to work together. And so some of this is going to be hosting integrated databases within academia. It's going to be doing joint research and development. It's going to be doing more job trainings, seminars, workshops, and conferences. We've found reason economically to be engaged in this issue.
We have received 4 projects from the USAID, and this has been provided through the AILEG. The first one is the capacity building for LEED. Secondly, we have this energy database assessment. We also have the MAC analysis, marginal abatement cost curves, and also the renewable energy investment analysis has been helpful to us. Especially, we have this Renewable Energy Act so that we could implement the RE Act as we wanted it to be in the energy sector.
We are happy in particular to be able to have partnership established with the different sectors of economy, particularly now the academe. Because the academe can really be doing a lot of studying and even analysis for us to be able to better understand how the government's policies and programs can really be affecting the future and even the other sectors of economy.
Vietnam. Vietnam is highly vulnerable to the effects of climate change, particularly flooding. The government of Vietnam wants to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, including those from rice cultivation and livestock management, as part of its green growth strategy to improve environmental quality and stimulate economic growth. USAID supports this effort, which means Vietnam must have accurate data to estimate emissions and analyze the costs of reduction strategies. In Vietnam, AILEG activities included pilot survey of rice and livestock management, marginal abatement cost curve, MAC, analysis of rice management practices, pilot rice emissions monitoring, reporting, and verification, MRV tool, nationally appropriate mitigation actions, NAMAS, workshop on clean energy.
The big challenges is data collection and data processing, and also the cooperation between the partner, between institutions in the country and also with international institutions.
I think that AILEG was putting a piece of work on data collecting, analysis, and now they are starting to do the pilot with the MRV system for rice production in Vietnam. We already have the targets for gas emission reduction for agriculture sector, and now we have to do something to monitor it, to evaluate, and it's important that without AILEG work we also have to do, but with AILEG work it's much more reasonable.